Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Ice Skating Podcast, brought to you as ever by the International Skating Union. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all, as it is to be with you, the great Nick Moore. How are you, Nick? I know it's been a tough few weeks recovering from the dreaded COVID-19, I suppose.
Yeah, like a lot of other people, it wasn't much fun, but otherwise, yeah, feeling good and all better now. Thank you. And really looking forward to this episode, and particularly hearing from the incredible Vincent Zhao. I have to say, my life's been a bit short of ice skating, and it's great to have another interview.
Excellent. Well, you've come to the right place. We always hope we have a packed show, don't we, for everyone? But it has been good to take a bit of a breath these last week or two, with a lot of competition coming to an end, and just dig around for something a bit different and get that chance to speak in more depth to people.
Yeah, it's been non-stop competition, hasn't it, since early October, really, and we've loved it. And we've actually got a lot of competition news to bring you towards the second half of this podcast, because we've got the news from the ISU World Junior Figure Skating Championships in Tallinn, which were brilliant. But as you say, the end of senior competition across figure skating, speed skating, short track is letting us grab a few big stars and really dig deep into their stories.
Yeah, we're not going to let any of skating's big names head for the beach or the mountains or safari or anything, are we? They're going to have to speak to us.
They are exactly, and it's great. And I know you loved speaking to Vincent, and from the sound of it, he really enjoyed speaking to you too, in a bit more detail than you would usually get rinkside.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, we're so grateful to Vincent for giving up his time and just being so honest. But it is that opportunity to speak to them one-to-one in more depth, where you've got time and there's no pressure of the next competition. And I think it's really positive and hopefully really good for both sides. And certainly I don't think there's any athlete probably across any sport anywhere in the world who's had a ride quite like Vincent has in the past 8 weeks or so. So yeah, let's not waste any more time and get him on. I started off simply by asking him how on earth he's feeling right now after being denied that opportunity to skate for Olympic glory by a positive COVID-19 test in Beijing. The only one, wasn't it? The whole of Team USA, he was the only one who got deprived from competition. And yet just a few weeks later, he went on to win World Championship bronze. So here he is, Vincent Zhao.
I'm doing all right. I think Worlds was, with the way Worlds played out, I have no reason not to just sit back and enjoy myself now. So I'm just trying to take in every moment, enjoy every performance on the ice and the shows, and just appreciate the opportunity to do this first international show since the start of the pandemic. And we're not in a bubble, so I can actually, we can actually go out and explore the city and, like I said, get the full experience, not be shut in the room and, sit around waiting for the next session to come, the next day to come. Everybody's tired of that.
Yeah, a very welcome change. And what did it feel like to win that bronze medal in Montpellier?
That was pretty unreal. There aren't really. I don't think I can do it justice with words. But it was just such a poetic and almost unexpected way for me to end the season, especially after. I mean, I don't particularly want to focus too much on the hardships right now, but I lost so many opportunities this past season, and being able to finish Worlds with a bronze medal against all odds when I didn't think it would be possible going in, that's a pretty special moment. So definitely means a lot to me, a lot more than just any bronze medal. So
and those performances to do that, how high do you rate those in terms of your excellent career so far?
I think objectively speaking, they weren't the best skates, but given what I was going through, given the fact that I couldn't even get through a program a couple days earlier before I left for France, I would classify winning a world medal with any sort of skate as a miracle. And that, I mean, I would, from my perspective, that's nothing short of what happened in France. So, yeah, like I said, words, I can't really do the feeling justice with words.
Huge congratulations. And
Thank
if you don't mind, if we can go back a little bit and just to give everyone a context of just what you'd been through. Can you first of all give an idea of what you put in to Beijing 2022, you know, the whole Olympic cycle, if you like, or what went into that?
I mean, most athletes spend their entire lives dreaming of their one moment on stage at the Olympics. And I guess my whole life, I kind of trained and skated and functioned with the understanding or with the hope and desire and eventual, you know, after US championships, knowledge that I would have that opportunity to compete at the Olympics in my back pocket. Just like that's something I would always have with me and hold close. That's something to treasure. That's extremely special. It's a once or twice in a lifetime thing for a very small portion of people who, you know, who even dream of making that happen. So for that to suddenly be ripped away from you is just devastating. My psychologist, I guess, drew some parallels between that and like people who lose a loved one, because it's, you know, it's like the way I described it, something that you hold really close to your heart, something you always thought would be with you is just gone. It's kind of like losing a person you really care about. They're just suddenly gone. And learning how to process that and deal with it and trying to pick myself up and get ready for Worlds in time was just impossible. After getting back to Colorado from the Olympics, I only had 2 weeks to actually train before Worlds. And, you know, almost every single day of those 2 weeks was very difficult for me to, you know, get up and approach my skates and get going. So, and then when I did get on the ice, I was just like, every time I stepped on the ice, I was reminded of, you know, how much I was struggling at the moment. Like sometimes I would try to adopt the mindset of, okay, just forget about everything, forget about even trying to skate well on the ice, forget about all the pressure, expectations, just get on and see what you can do. You know, even under that mindset, which is the most carefree, you know, free of burden mindset that an athlete can possibly have. Even with that mindset, every time I stepped on the ice, I was still, you know, just rudely awakened. It was like life was saying, "Hey, Vincent, everything sucks right now. You suck right now. Deal with it, or don't." You know, and just working through that and making it to the point where I decided to even go to France. Getting to France and, you know, stepping on the practice ices there and just working it day by day through the week. That was something not many people would have done. I feel like many people would have just withdrawn. I was very close to withdrawing. I don't know if you've read my Instagram caption or not, but in it I said that like my parents had already started preparing for like vacation the week of Worlds. They were like, "Where do you want to go, Vincent?" And like in my head, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was second guessing every single decision I made. So yeah, just making it to France was a win for me. I think that was oddly freeing, because once I was there, I had already eliminated my my choice to opt out of this. So with that out of the way, I was free to, I guess, to see what I can do, to step on the ice, forget about everything and see what I could do. Like once I was actually there, I suddenly felt, more free.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. What was it that enabled you to get there and not pull out and actually get on that plane?
I've said this a couple times now in interviews and in on social media, but it was the singular thought that I didn't want to live the rest of my life with the regret that I didn't try. That's literally the only thought that made me go to France, because I didn't want to look back years from now and be like, yeah, things sucked back then, but I wish I had just tried and gone. You never know. Maybe I could have won a medal, but now I know I did go. I did win a medal, and even though I had no way of knowing that's the way things would play out, so sometimes you just have to take that leap. So that's what I did. I'm extremely proud of that.
Absolutely should be. We're proud to hear that, really. And were there some things that other people managed to do? I read the odd thing about your coach Tom starting a book club with you. Were there things that, I don't know whether they helped maybe just to distract you briefly or anything else that cropped up?
Not really, but I mean, before I left for France, even my happiest moments still had just a dark cloud hanging over them. But as I described, once I got to France, I just felt oddly free. I worked out a couple kinks on the first day there, and then by the second day, I was practicing almost good as normal. So yeah, I can't exactly describe to you how I made that happen. It almost seems like magic, because since before the team event at the Olympics, I hadn't trained properly, because after my positive test, I had my week of isolation, and then I was back on the ice for like one practice a day at the Olympics. But I was weakened and not, it wasn't like a proper training environment, and I was preparing for the gala, so that wasn't exactly training, not even close. And then got back from the Olympics, a couple days of travel, one day off, and got back on the ice, and it was just like trying to wade through hip deep mud from the very first day, and that was only 2 weeks and a couple of days. So in essence, I hadn't trained at all since the start of February. That's a really long time. The weeks really added. So all evidence would indicate a strong chance of me not performing well, me not even being able to practice well. And that's what the trend showed, at least, leading up to my flight to France. But once I got there, it was just, I don't know, there was some magic.
Yeah, miracle and magic. And now when you think back to that week in isolation, do you have memories of that week? What was it like?
It's just like, I don't know, just a glaring block of time in my memory that should not be there. That's what it feels like every time. I remember the first night or the first morning, waking up in the hotel, being, disoriented for a couple seconds. Just, when you open your eyes and see the ceiling above you, and then you kind of take in your peripheral surroundings and realize where you are. Just like a sense of dread crept into my stomach. I was like, I should not be here. This is so wrong. And then I just broke down in tears. That's my first memory in isolation. So it's just like a dark cloud over everything, like I already described.
Yeah.
And maybe 99 times out of 100, I wouldn't have tested positive, and that wouldn't be my experience. But I just got unlucky, I guess. I mean, I don't know how I tested positive. Everybody, following the same rules, taking the same precautions in the bubble. I was already 10 days into the bubble with people around me all negative. I was taking all the required steps to remain free of COVID and beyond. I was doing more than most everyone I know and see, and somehow I managed to get it. So just bad luck, and just like I said, a glaring chunk of time in my life experience that just feels completely wrong. Like that should never have happened. And so even with the success at Worlds, that's still a very upsetting and just bad thing to think about for me. So that's still going to process over the next few months, maybe even years. I don't like losing a loved one. It's not a linear recovery process. Some days are harder than others, and I experienced that in full force before Worlds, and I certainly expect that after the thrill of performing on tour and everything is over, there'll still be some slow days and some worse days, and I'm okay with that, because that's natural. It's what my mind has to go through in order to recover fully.
Absolutely. Does it feel like that dark cloud is just sort of lifted and is still there, but is perhaps a little lighter than it was?
Absolutely. It's I'm able to go about my day normally and experience things fully without that dark cloud ruining it for me, which I'm grateful for. Honestly, I don't know how I would have coped if Worlds turned out to be a disaster. I think I would have ended up worse than I was going in, and that's not a story I would like to be telling in an interview right now. So I'm glad that things worked out the way they did.
Yeah. And in that aftermath of Worlds, was the feeling relief or elation or something else?
A combination, I would say. I mean, it's like when you, I don't know, like imagine spinning for like a 1 in 50 chance that that you don't like utterly destroy yourself, and you then you hit that jackpot, and I guess that's the feeling. It's like a sense of relief combined with elation, but it's also something that I worked for. I mean, even though I didn't have proper training in the near leading up to Worlds, I still had the training base that I built the whole season. I still had the competitive experience I'd been building the last couple seasons. So it's not like I just got lucky and didn't work for my medal at Worlds. I put everything into that. So a combination of lots of positive feelings. So like I said earlier, just a very poetic and fulfilling way to end.
Yeah, and gosh, incredibly well deserved. And what now, Vincent? What comes next?
Well, just enjoying each moment fully in this Stars and Ice tour and beyond. I mean, I've got the US Stars and Ice tour. I've got other shows. I'll be coming back to Japan later this summer. Not going to wait that we don't get like a 57th wave of COVID that ruins that. But if everything progresses as planned, I'll be just performing and enjoying myself and reconnecting with my love of skating, and forming stronger bonds and friendships along the way. I've never really allowed myself to fully experience everything in the past. I always made myself adhere to a strict rink, hotel, rest routine. No going outside, no partying with friends. even hanging out with friends, just purely focus. And I feel like after that season, I deserve some I deserve some downtime and some room to enjoy myself and spend time with my cast, my family. So enjoying it.
Absolutely. I hope that's really fulfilling. And in terms of sort of sporting and life decisions, is it a case of they can wait for now?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked many times about my plans for the next season, with me going to Brown and all, going back to Brown and all. So, I haven't thought that far ahead yet, because the Olympic year is the end of the 4-year cycle, and that's a lot of the time that's as far as people plan for the whole 4 years. They don't even start thinking about the next 4 years until these 4 years are over. So, this is probably the most actual summer of my whole career.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, I hope you really enjoy it. And thank you so much for your time and honesty. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, Vincent Zhao there. What a man.
I know. Another big thank you to Vincent for giving us that insight. There's a lot to unpick, isn't there, Nick?
Yeah, and I was just so happy at the time to see him win that bronze medal in Montpellier. But now, having heard that, I'm just really thankful that he did it and got through it more than anything.
I know, that's a feeling, isn't it? I mean, God, it's quite painful even just listening to him talk through that period between that positive test and going into isolation and then managing to make it onto the ice in Montpellier.
Yeah, that was a real win for him, wasn't it? Defying those all-encompassing dark clouds, managing to make that decision to just get on the plane, even though he knew that it was a big risk. If things had gone wrong in Montpellier, he might have spiraled even further.
I know. I couldn't believe that, really, that having that knowledge and that insight into your own sort of mindset, I suppose, and yet managing to go, no, I know this could go wrong, but I've also got to do it. As he said, he couldn't live with that regret, but God, having second guessing all his decisions and having, when he said that voice inside just telling him he sucked at every moment. I mean, goodness me.
Just terrible, and a real insight into what pressure these top athletes are under. It's really unimaginable.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I'm very happy to stay behind this mic, which is lucky, as not sure I've got much sporting skill anyway, but fantastic that, as he said, the miracle happened and he did it. He won the bronze.
Yeah, and it was all down to his skill, but most of all his strength of mind.
Yeah, and recovery will take a while, won't it? He knows. It was good to hear that he's got professional support. That's so important. Mental well-being right at the top of the agenda, quite rightly, across all sport and skating in particular. And yeah, we wish him really well, don't we? And I can't wait to hear and see what he does next and what he decides.
I mean, selfishly, we hope he carries on, don't we? But it's a big decision for him, as it is for many other Olympians, what to do next.
Yeah. Talking of what happens next, I'm going to link us perfectly here, Nick, onto the next subject, the Junior World Figure Skating Championships. Great. They always offer a great insight into the future of the sport. And this recent edition in Tallinn was no different.
Yes, now let's turn to the ISU World Junior Figure Skating Championships in Tallinn. It's a competition that never disappoints. We love it. It's those next generation of greats taking centre stage. This year we had over 140 skaters from 40 different countries, so a real diversity of nations. And it's tremendous to see skating thriving in so many different places.
I mean, I'm a bit jealous of the Estonians, really.
Yeah.
What a feast they've had this season of figure skating. Just recently, the ISU European and Four Continents Championships, and now the Junior Worlds.
Fantastic run of events. Why not? It's a great rink and a great city. I know Tanya, our reporter, has loved going over there. And the action lived up to the billing because we saw some exceptional skates, especially from the Americans.
Yeah, we did. And I think we have to start with the men, don't we? Because the standout individual, junior star of the season, has to be Ilya Malinin. He's been really, really good. I mean, two wins, isn't he? ISU Junior Grand Prix wins. And obviously, as we know, talked about on the pod before, he's stepped up to senior level already. Reached that recent 9th place finish on his debut at the ISU World Figure Skating Championships, and so close to getting the nod for the US Olympic team. Coming into this, he was the name on everyone's lips and the man to beat, wasn't he?
And nobody could beat him. And as Tanya writes in her report for ISU.org, he crushed the competition. He won with 40 points to spare, and he does look ready to make that next step up.
Yeah, no wonder US figure skating fans are getting pretty excited. He looks special, doesn't he? And reeling off those quads at a junior level, and everything seems to improve almost every time I watch him, I think. Technique, choreography, really, really impressive. And let's hear what he had to say to Tanya about what it was like coming to the event as favourite, which is never easy, and how he's developing those quads we just talked about.
Well, there is a little bit less pressure than regular Worlds because it's obviously senior, it's a lot bigger, there's a lot more famous people here. There still is big because, like, if you're the favorite, everyone expects you to skate as best as possible and everyone expects you to win, which I gladly did here. I think there isn't really a secret to just easily learning quads. It still takes a lot of time and effort, but I think from the start of quarantine I would do a lot of off ice, so there I'd be doing off ice triple axels, start learning off ice jumps like off ice quad cell, off ice quad toes, and then once I started getting those a bit easier, when I got on the ice, it was a bit easier to transition, which then I got my sow consistent, then I got toe loop, and then lots, and then loop, and then flip. Yeah, well, we're still working on it right now. Since the season just ended, we're figuring out like a program plan for the long, but we still don't know yet because of all the rules and everything that you can't repeat to quad jumps. So if they change that, then maybe it will be a lot easier to come up with what to do.
He's a very easygoing guy, isn't he? But it sounds like there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. I know a lot of people were a little bit surprised when he didn't get the pick for the US Olympic team for Beijing. He skated so well at those US nationals, but you do think that all being well, he will get to that top level and maybe even on the podium. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so. A little side bet on that wouldn't go amiss. Not that I'm a betting man, but anyway, it'll be interesting to follow his journey. His teammate Isabel Levito also be one to watch. She came to Tallinn. What do you think? Probably his narrow favourite as well.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as strong a favourite as Ilya, but she's been really solid this season. Gold and a silver in the junior events, Grand Prix events, and she made a great impression.
Yeah, Isabeau was great. She beat Jia Shin of Korea by a tight margin. Both of them skated beautifully, but it was a really high level of competition. And as you'd expect, Isabeau was at the highest, and she really pulled off those routines with aplomb. She's 15. She got a personal best score, 72.5. It was impressive. So let's hear her speaking to Tanya now about how she's changed her style and why she loves the sport so much.
For I think about 4 years in a row, I did many Spanish-y kind of programs, hard programs, sassy programs. But I mean, that's one of my personalities, so it suited me very well. But this year was a new thing. It was a different thing for me, and I loved it, of course, too. When I was younger, I wouldn't have liked these musics as much because I would have pretended that I was falling asleep to them or something. I would always hear these musics and start imitating someone snoring as a child. But this year technically last year when we selected these musics, I was very excited for it. It is two parts of the sport, there's the intensity, and then there's the longevity of the program, like the endurance. Some sports have only one, some sports have only endurance, right? But to me, it's just how much variety there is. There's the jumps, there's the spins, and there's the skating skills, and then there's so many different parts in the skating skills. There's so many different types of jumps, so many different types of spins, and I just love how interestingly complicated it is. I don't know how it all comes together.
Brilliant analysis from Isabeau there about what makes figure skating just amazing sport to take part in, and equally amazing for us to watch.
Yeah, I like the phrase interesting complexity. I think it sums it up, doesn't it? And I can only imagine trying to get your head around all the different elements and all the other the sort of parts of skating that are so tricky. But she's well on her way, and she's definitely one to look out for the future. And in the pairs, we had a couple of hot favourites as well, didn't we?
Yes, Karina Safina and Luka Barulova of Georgia. I mean, came into this event having just finished fourth in both the Europeans and the World Figure Skating Championships. Yeah. So everyone knew all about them and a force already. So it must be so tricky, mustn't it? You come into something like this, anything but gold would be a big, big failure. Everyone's expecting you to do well, but you still have to go out and do it.
And they did it. And as Tanya wrote in her report, it was a runaway victory, almost 19 points to spare. And they made a little bit of history for Georgia as well, which was the country's first ISU figure skating championship title. And their lifts and jumps were just a little bit ahead of everyone else's.
Yeah, genuine stars, genuine stars. We don't have an English interview with them, unfortunately, but there's a great report on isu.org, and Tanya spoke to them in their native language, and they were saying how proud they are, development of skating in their country, lots of good stuff there. So do go and check that out.
Yeah, give it a read. Last but not least, the ice dance was also a clear-cut victory, and the Star Spangled Banner got another airing on the podium because USA's Una Brown and Gage Brown, they're a brilliant brother and sister team from New York. They stormed to victory.
Yeah, they were great, weren't they? Just the second major win after gold in the Junior Grand Prix in Courchevel. They've shown promise, but it was a big step up, I think. I love watching them. That rhythm dance, fast-paced hip-hop was really, really cool, wasn't it? And in the free dance, loved hearing a bit of news right in my strata, that one. And just the arena seemed to love it.
They rocked it, didn't they? And sounds like they live in quite a noisy house. Una plays the keyboard and the piano. Gage plays the bass guitar and the bagpipes.
Turn that down. You can imagine. Sounds like a fun house. What a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great way to end the weekend, isn't it? I love the ice dance.
Yeah, it was really nice. And a great season. We can take a little bit of a deep breath now. That is 2021 to 22 in the books, really, isn't it? There's obviously lots of regional things going on all over the place, but just 4 months until our first major event of next season, the ISU Junior Grand Prix, August 24th in Courchevel. Put it in your diary, Luke.
It's already in there, Nick, in red. Of course, don't be silly. No, but I can't believe the season we've been looking forward to for so long and enjoying for so long has come to an end. It's been absolutely brilliant. And that is about it this week. Apart from one important announcement, the ISU Skating Awards 2022 has been postponed to 2023 due to multiple challenges, including the ongoing war in Ukraine. So those 2022 awards will double up with the 2023 version. But please rest assured the ISU and its partner Art on Ice are more committed than ever to presenting a truly special event in 2023. I mean, after all, it's such a glorious celebration of figure skating. So it should be really good. Okay, I think that really is it. Thank you so much to everyone for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Keep an eye on isu.org and we will see you soon.